Alright, hey guys. I made an article, so this is kind of just a video form of that article, but I will go over some things that I said in the article and then maybe expand on a couple different things. So, the article basically is US versus Canada in the World Cup, so I go over their match specifically. I go over the US's loss against Brazil, and then I go over some like projections and things that I might think will happen for BlizzCon, and then maybe some different things they can swap around. So let's start with USA versus Brazil. That match, it felt weird in the fact that like I've seen a lot of four match formats where it's like, okay, we're three maps in. Is the team that's already 3-0 gonna care about the 4-0? Usually not, and you can't really motivate the players to care about it because a lot of times it doesn't really matter to them. So during the season, I'd say it really didn't affect any teams in OWL. In contenders, there's not enough teams to really make it compete against anything. Like if you won the match score, then that's all that really mattered. And I think for this, it's a very similar case where US was kind of checked out a bit, and so their match didn't actually appear to be that difficult for them, and they didn't really care that much. Where you could see they were kind of swapping around, not really playing everything too seriously. They were trying to play like counter goats, which it is a bit of a cocky pick to actually pick like a bunch of projectiles and play like weird comps against goats when you could just, if you're the better team, just play goats and then just beat them with their own comps. So I didn't have the most stock in it, but it was a loss for them, and it would have affected their group stage if Canada had beaten them or there was some other weird scores, but it didn't end up affecting them, so don't put too much stock in it. The USA versus Canada match, though, was pretty big. It was the last game of the entire event, so it was the biggest value, and it kind of delivered. There was two maps that were kind of bad. I'd say Kings Row and Anubis were probably really bad quality, I'd say, because the strategy wasn't very I'm trying to think. The end of Oasis wasn't good either. Like City Center was bad. So let's just break it down. So University, USA plays a really weird comp. They play a comp that no one's really seen before, and I kind of really like. And I think even though it's not, it was basically because of the patch, because of how broken Winston was, that they were playing both Winston and Reinhardt, so it was really good. But it really nullified the fact that Canada can't play goats. They actually never played goats here, where it's the full 3-3, and they tried to play variations of it. So they tried to play Sombra, they tried to play not 3-3, so they'd put two supports, three tanks, and they didn't really play as much, where I feel like maybe they just try to lean away from Rhine more often. Maybe that's their solution, is just don't play as much Rhine. They did play like an hour of Rhine, which was kind of confusing to me because they don't have a good Lucio, where Bonnie isn't as practiced on Lucio. Agilities, weirdly, it was his third most played was Lucio, where it was very strange to me. It was like, you guys are playing just Rhine a lot, but you can't play goats, so... And your Zarya isn't going to be as effective because like Agilities doesn't have that much time on it. Surefour doesn't have that much time on it. Like in their entire pro career, Mangachu never played it. Zachary kind of played it, like in the past, but do you really want him on that? Why not just have Zachary play a hit scan, Surefour play a hit scan, and Agilities play his Doomfist? But they weirdly didn't play it, I'd say, all the time. Did I say Zachary? I meant Mangachu. I'm mixing up my teams now because I was comparing the two. But yeah, it was kind of weird. University, it ended up being like pretty one-sided, even though Canada retook. It was US one-sided basically. What was next? It wasn't City Center. It was Gardens. Gardens. Canada opens with just a bad comp, really, where the Pharah, like it's bad in the fact that like if they don't get the rockets off, then they just lose the fight, and so like Agilities landed no rockets. They just stood on the Mega, and they just engaged and killed everyone. So Canada comes back with what I really like, and what's good against the engagey, heavy, Sombra comp is Kree with Brig. And so they Mercy Zen Kree with Brig, and then that worked really well for them, partially because Agility's pretty good at Brig, Surefour really good at Kree, Crimzo really good at Zen, and Bonnie played like 98% of his playtime in OWL on Mercy, so he's really practiced on Mercy. the comp made a lot of sense for them. I wish they would have played it more. They didn't really play it more, so worked really well for them. Hydration got destroyed here. He got flashbanged for one of his EMPs where it canceled it, and then the other one just like Crimzo was instant trance to like nullify it. So they got kind of destroyed on that map. But it was a good game because there was a lot of trades, and the tank line was playing actually really good for both teams. Next, we move on to City Center. City Center, they opened with like a really weird like Reaper Soldier comp, if I'm remembering it correctly. And they basically played a win first fight. They played a counter. So like Muma can't do anything. He's like trying to dive and he's just not allowed to. Because he'd be diving into like Zen, Soldier, whatever it was. It was like Brig. There was a bunch of just damage and you just could not live through that. So he wasn't able to dive. They lose the first fight. They just retake with Far and then it's just over from there because Canada just forgets how to path, and they're trying to play Lucio, and it's really bad because their pathing is really bad. They try to like path in front of their entire team, and then like rather than just safe pathing and then just going behind like where you can stand behind buildings and stuff, they just path out in the open and then just get engaged on and die and then stagger themselves at like 70%, and it ends up losing them the map because of that just one bad stagger. And the fight before it was like super sloppy, so they aren't able to use their time appropriately. So that was a bit of a wash. King's Row ends up being kind of just a meh map as well because Canada just doesn't know how to position their supports, or Note isn't playing to peel them enough. So like every single time Bonnie walked up, he just literally got engaged on it, and then it was like Crimzo that got engaged on, and then Bonnie. And it was just like their supports just kept getting rinsed every single fight, and they weren't able to actually like walk up and actually do anything with them. So of course you're going to lose the map if your supports can't stay alive. Note needs to peel more. Like we saw like XL2 versus Fusion, and how Fusion was able to keep their supports alive even when they were playing Ana Zen. You have to have your Diva play much more passively though to protect them, and in turn you will have longer range damage. Usually people are like, oh, you have Lucio Ana, so the long range damage isn't as efficient. But when you play Ana Zen, you have that threat from long range from both of them, and the Diva doesn't need to be as effective on the front line. She needs to peel for the back line. The Sombra, Monkey, and whatever projectile DPS you have need to sync together as a 3-man, and then the Diva plays much more passively. So that didn't work for them, and overall, their defense, they play like an old comp that's like not good anymore. And I like USA's comp to like play 3 tanks, 3 supports, but not like the traditional one, and they basically just split them up, brawl them all day, and win because of that. Alright, next we move on to Anubis. Anubis was, I'd say it was probably the best of the 3 so far, of these 3, and then Rialto's probably the best, but Anubis ended up being a lot of US playing this like really weird, was it US attacks first? I think it was defense. I can't remember exactly, it doesn't matter, but US plays this, like again, it's like a triple tank comp that's like super divey on defense, and then they're really just able to like outpace like Canada. If like Canada's not playing defensively enough, then it's like Ball on you, Winston on you. Their cooldowns do so much damage to you, as the Winston bug as well. So really able to kill them over and over again. I think Space gets caught, and then they're able to like push up and actually like get a wipe on them. And then US does this thing where they like overcommit ults to like a completely lost fight, and it doesn't make any sense to me. And then they just literally get snowballed into second. So like it's like cap, they're fighting, cap, and that's basically like first and second. Is just it ends so quickly. And then Canada has their defense, and they are playing Ana Zen at like a really good level. That's what it should be played at. Is a lot of them are allowed to play on the high ground, they're allowed to play safe, and a lot of people engaging away from you. So you don't let the fight come to you, you play like super far range, you don't let anyone engage on you, don't let anyone come to you. You take the fight super far away, you let your tanks tank a ton of damage like in front, potentially trade your DPS, and then just like keep rotating. And they did really good about rotating their ults and like resetting US over and over again. Finally US caps it. Then they run this like Doom Brig thing on second for offense, and it just does not work. There's no pressure with that. Like you can try to like counter peel, but if you wait so long in your counter peel and you don't add enough pressure to diving the front line, then you're just gonna trade every single fight. Like their backline's gonna peel, your backline is going to peel, but they're just going to kill your tank, and you might kill their tank, but every trade in 2CP is going to go in their favor. So it never ends up working for them, and Canada wins. Next, it is Rialto. Rialto is probably the best of the three. It's again more Ana Zen for Canada, and I really, really like that, but Bonnie doesn't hit enough shots on Hydration, and Hydration ends up lending like a lot of rockets where they're also running like Brig on defense. Like, why? Like, as soon as the cart pushes up like enough, just a massive open area, and the Brig can't get any value unless she's getting like perma pocketed. It just didn't make any sense. I don't know why they weren't just running Doomfist there. Doomfist or Genji makes so much more sense to me. But like finally, once the cart's like very close to the end of first, then Brig becomes super valuable. But it doesn't make sense up until then. So you can just basically throw the map until it's like one fight that is good for you. US swaps, of course they win. Canada swaps as well, so they swap to Genji, and then US swaps to Brig. So they're gonna win it out, and then it starts to snowball from there where Bonnie can't stay alive. He gets staggered. Is it he gets staggered? Maybe I'm confusing the two, but it's something like that where they aren't able to get like an effective fight on second, and they end up getting that push in. I'm remembering third, Crimzo has trance, and there's this big fight, and he needs to pop, and he doesn't pop it, and it's so tragic because he's coming out with the trance after basically US is already cap, and then he's doing that thing where it's like, oh, I didn't use my ult at the proper time, I'm gonna trance, and then use 5 seconds of the trance to get out of the spawn door basically, and then they've already capped. So but then we swap it again, and they just weren't able to deal with this Pharah effectively. Like again, it was like Bonnie wasn't able to land enough shots. Maybe I'm forgetting the other one where I swapped them around, but Bonnie definitely wasn't able to land enough shots. Hydration was doing a lot of damage on, and they were just like, their supports were walking up too far. Like Canada was like walking their supports up way too much, where they'd walk up and they just get engaged on and die. And like, you can't do that. If you're gonna play Ana Zen, you have to play much safer with them. Play further back, invest that resource into protecting them, and then play that long range battle. If the other team, like US, wasn't able to match almost ever here, or they won't be able to match, they will not play Ana Zen at the same level as you. They will play Ana Lucio like they were playing for the majority of the time, where they were spamming Ana Lucio. They played Ana Mercy, I think, as well, but that still isn't as strong. It doesn't offer as much DPS potential, which is really important in these like really close matchups where you need to be able to out DPS the other team, and they just weren't able to do that. So that's about it. That series was kind of whack at the end. Like, it was a bunch of just weird mistakes where you can tell like the teams aren't that practiced with each other because they're making like a lot of errors. Surefour got caught a lot on Sombra at the end there, where he was kind of just out of sync with his team. It was really strange. He should not be dying as much. It should be Agility's dying the most, then XQC, then Surefour. But I think Surefour died like the most at the end, which is really bad. So player for player, I wrote some things. I guess I'll just bring it off the top. So I'll just go like down the list. So for US, Raucus, it's perfect for him. He's an insane Ana. He's an insane Zen. This works really well for him, regardless of what they play. Let's take Moth next. I'd say his Lucio and his Mercy are good. His Ana is his weak point, where I'd say what might actually be a breaking point for some of these teams is which teams can play Ana Zen at the highest level. If you can play Ana Zen and another team cannot play Ana Zen at the same level you can, or if they just aren't able to pick it, there's a big advantage in that, because there's comps that you can play and you can like just dish out and do so much more healing and damage where it's hard to match. So if he isn't able to like play Ana as much, and then Raucus isn't able to like play Zen more often, then they're going to put themselves at a disadvantage against other teams. I'm not sure specifically what other teams could be able to match them. I know Canada can if their DPS and tanks are playing correctly, but those are the supports basically. Both the supports were good. Space was a monster here. He did so much damage. There was a bug, so I didn't get to see how much Diva Bombs he got, but some of his Diva Bombs were insanely good value. He did so much damage. He matrixed everything. He makes it so hard to play against him. He's definitely an MVP candidate for going into BlizzCon. Like, he's such an insane player. So Muma, he's He's really defensive, and I think in this meta you need to play way more aggressively as a main tank. You need to like play more with your Doomfist, your Sombra, play much more aggressively. So I think it works because his team is so good around him, but I think he will struggle. So I'm not the most high up on him. He's definitely a very skilled player. There's no doubt about that, but I'm not sure if this meta works the best for him. All right, next we move on to let's take Sinatra and Zachary were playing like a weird amount of Doomfist for how much Hydration has played Doomfist. It's so strange to me that like they both had most played Doomfist and then Hydration had Sombra. I I would have expected, my brain's telling me Hydration's the best Doomfist on this team, Zachary's the best Sombra, or Sinatra can practice Sombra, or Sinatra can just play Zarya in niche comps and then he can play other hit scan. But you play Hydration Zachary, and I know they were doing contenders things, so Zachary wasn't able to practice as much, but put Zachary on Sombra, put Hydration on Doomfist. That's what makes the most sense to me. Maybe their scrims were saying different things for them, but Hydration had the most scrim time on Doomfist of any of them before this event, so it was very strange to me because like Zachary played on a team with who are you who just play Doomfist, so I don't know. It's pretty weird to me. Their hero pools kind of fit. Sinatra was like playing Genji, and I guess his Zarya is really good, so that makes sense. But he was playing just so many weird things where you think of him as like the consistent hit scan player, and that's all he played in Owl. But now he's just not playing that, and he's playing a bunch of proj and stuff. So it's strange. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe their coach has like got something different. So that's all of them. Let's go to Canada. Let's go XQC first. XQC was good. He's playing very aggressively. I'd say there's a couple times where he got caught out and he looked a bit rusty, where he didn't look at like Owl caliber level. But besides that, I'd say he's like consistently good. There wasn't really like a huge problem with him. I'd say the biggest problem was probably the supports. Bonnie had a lot of issues. His Lucio is not that good. His Ana, he had a tough time with his positioning. I kind of double that with Note not being able to protect him enough, but what else is there? Crimzo was a monster. His Ana and Zen were really good. Canada played like a surprising amount of Ana on Bonnie rather than Crimzo, and then so Crimzo could play more Zen. I think he played some of the most Zen of any of the players, where most flex supports played Zen. No, they played Ana, and then he played the most Zen. So they're kind of in like that interesting position where they can do that. Surefour played like majority Sombra. He got caught a lot. Like I don't actually like how much he got caught. That's actually probably a really bad sign of their communication, where he needs to be calming better and more efficiently, because as a Sombra, you have to be calming a lot in this meta. Note was good. I just mark him for not being able to protect his backline enough, but I mean, if they're positioning badly, then that can't be always on him. Agilities, I'd say, was really good. His Doomfist was good. I'm trying to think. This team doesn't have a Zarya player. Like, Surefour never played Zarya. Maybe like a long time ago, but Note on Boston, he would never play Zarya. Like, he would get subbed out and Kalios would play Zarya if there was ever a chance for them to play Zarya. So Agility's never really played it. So it seems strange to me why this team is not going to be able to play Zarya, and then they're not going to be able to play Goats as efficiently because they don't have a good Lucio, they don't have a good Zarya. So it's a bit strange to me. I think they're 2-2-2 with Winston Diva and a Zen. Sombra Doom is probably going to be their best comp, and that's probably what they should be playing. I think that'll probably be the meta. I don't know if Goats will be as efficient if this comp stays as strong as it is. Let's see. I think that's really everyone. I guess Mangachu really was. He was okay. I guess he had like contenders as well, so he didn't get as much playtime. But I don't know if he'll get as much playtime. I feel like Agility just outclasses him on everything that needs to be played. Far isn't being played as much because I don't really know if they can play it. Like, I don't know if they can have an efficient comp where they can play around Pharah. I don't think Pharah Sombra is that good where you could just play Genji or Doom and then you just want to have agilities in. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to have Mangachu in as much unless they have like some versatility thing where they want him to play like Diva and then have Note play Zarya or something like that. I'm not sure, but I think their chances are going to be good both of them. I'm predicting probably finals for the USA team and then maybe semis for the Canada team. I'm not 100% sure because I need to see the last qualifier, but I think South Korea will probably be able to adapt. I think they kind of actually looked weak in their qualifiers because they were playing the wrong comps, I'd say, and they had the wrong prioritization. And Jonak does not look the same on Anna as he does on Zen, but I think it won't really matter that much. I think it'll probably be like probably like whatever the brackets end up being. I don't know what the brackets are, but it'd probably be US, Korea finals, maybe like Finland and Canada in the semis or something like that. But that's about it. Thanks for watching.